no doubt that the lockdown has been incredibly difficult for businesses, and many will not survive. Repurposing the coping strategies businesses used to survive the lockdown might help them after the lockdown. Pierre Bruwer is managing director at Netstar, and of course they have some ideas on how exactly to do this. Pierre, good evening. It's a pleasure to have you with us. I must say that one doesn't necessarily think about how a company like Netstar, which of course deals with cars and managing fleets, etc., would have been affected by COVID-19. Perhaps speak to us a little bit about that before we get into some of these strategies.
Well, thank you, Cathy, and good evening to you and your listeners, and thank you for having Netstar on your show. But obviously unprecedented times and challenging times for every business in South Africa, as well as every citizen and family in the country. But as South African business person will tell you, the COVID-19 pandemic has been truly stressful time for running an organization or a business. However, as Netstar, we've worked to mitigate the effects of COVID-19. We've also gained a glimpse of what the future of business might look like. And in our world, it's truly exciting, and it's an exciting prospect. However, this is not to downplay the incredibly difficult times we find ourselves in as people. Lives are being lost, people are falling ill, quarantine regulations are forcing families into heartbreaking situations, and the list carries on. But lockdown has come with its own hardships, and has also led to the downfall of several businesses within society. We see this on a daily basis, and these are terrible outcomes, for us as a country. And I could only feel, and we feel for our fellow South Africans. However, this crisis also teaches us, and it's taught us a lot over the last couple of months. In our business, when the state of disaster was first declared in March, our initial focus was to really understand the regulations applied to us and then ensure the safety of our staff and our customers. People are remarkably resilient. That we've seen this and experienced it. And it was a pleasant surprise to see that staff and customers settled into the new routine within a couple of days, from March ongoing. However, there's no way of getting away from the economic impact of the global shutdown. The statistics for the first 2 weeks of the lockdown was unprecedented. Some businesses saw their income streams evaporate overnight, and I think many businesses are even struggling today still, with the lockdown regulations. As a business in telematics, that's where we play, fleet management and vehicle recovery space. Obviously, we also saw our call-outs decline, to almost zero. For the first time in the history of this business, which is 25 years old, at the first week, in the first couple of days of the first week of lockdown, we've had virtually zero criminal incidents on certain days, which is really fantastic if you think about it. But that's picked up again. We weren't very busy at that point in time as an organization, which to me was worrying. We look at the business and we got to survive and be sustainable. But that quiet period truly gave us a chance to critically evaluate our business and consider how we could structure our operations going forward. And this was truly a design thinking made manifest for our organization. We really had a time to structurally reinvent ourselves as an organization.
Sure. And Pierre, maybe speak to me about the two key things that came out of that period of, silence, as it were, while you were also, I suppose, on some level panicked about the kind of future that your organization would have.
Yeah, look, I think one of the big realizations for us as an organization was that customer service is not a function of physical interaction. It can be done just as effectively, and in this case probably more effectively, by digital means. So deploying digital technology to engage with your customers was a very empowering experience for the organization. The power of technology allowed us to really speak to the entire workforce internally at any given point in time. And similarly with our own internal staff communications, through our weekly newsletter, virtual town halls, and however way we engage with our people, our relationship with our staff has really and tremendously improved, and we can truly say that, we're an engaged organization today. We found, as an organization that we were probably more productive as a business And we're communicating much, much better with our partners, customers, and our co-workers than ever before. And obviously determined that after the lockdown, we'll embed these learnings and the digital ways of working. We came to understand that we could much easier onboard customers in a safer way into our organization. We deployed an e-commerce platform. You can now buy online. We've deployed robotic process automation. You can chat to the chat bots. You have access to your information 24/7 as a customer. So, true transformation in making it easy to do business with our organization, but also, protecting the lives and the livelihood of our customers.
Sure. Pierre Bruwer, he's the Managing Director of Netstar. Certainly good to hear that not all's been lost and some interesting innovations that they've had to come up with to survive COVID-19. But by the sounds of it, it might have made their business even more efficient than it was before.